Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Bizarre Briefing for August 2019.
Wow.
Whoa. Am I coming in hot? Am I a little too hot?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Just full speed ahead.
I'm Bryce Castillo, joined as always with Brandt Hughes.
Hey, that's me.
And John Rael.
Hi.
This is the monthly podcast where we talk about all sorts of things going on here at Bizarre Magic, all the YouTube shows and the podcasts and the store and social media and Twitch. And all of our... Normally I would be listing shows and properties here, but instead I'm talking about channels.
Wow.
Yeah, just switching it up a little bit.
Yeah.
4 years in, switching it up a little bit.
Next month, let's list sponsors.
They don't pay us. This is the show where we talk about all that stuff and we give you our real poop about it. How's everybody doing?
Yikes. I'm
Don't
doing
yikes
okay.
me for saying poop.
Gonna get demonetized, guys. I'm doing all right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's been kind of a crazy month because there was still some travel stuff going on after last episode, but also that meant when the travel stuff was over, it kind of all snapped back into place and like we had to hit the ground running again.
Right. Yeah.
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
I have hair again.
It's coming in.
Yeah.
It's coming in. Yeah. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us, everybody. So, first topic is probably one of the bigger ones, but let's just kind of dive into it. HQ, the new studio property space that we've been talking about for what did Brian say the other day? 14 months, something like that. Some like very weird specific number of months. For over a year. It is coming close to being a thing that we can actually use.
Yeah. One of these days we'll get there.
So on Sunday, if you've seen any of the videos or any of the footage of the space, there's a big studio room and it's like 15 plus feet high up. And we haven't really been able to shoot in there because it's very echoey and it doesn't sound very good because it's just this big blank.
It's like a basketball court.
Yeah, basically. And on Sunday, we finally we had bought a bunch of sound baffling equipment. About a year ago, and it finally got installed on Sunday. So spoiler alert for that video. We shot a video around it, being like, hey, let's test stuff out and see what it's like, and then come back and see how drastic the change is. And I gotta say, like, when we were done with that night, Corey stayed around to add even more stuff, but when we were done with that night, it was like night and day. It was it's not perfect, it'll never be perfect with the amount of equipment we got for it, but it sounds very nice in there.
Yeah, it's definitely a big shift. I mean, people who watch Modern Rogue will remember the Jedi video, which was shot in that room.
That's right. That's right.
And
like a few small videos or like ads or something.
And for the record, the Jedi, go back and watch that, somebody. And as bad as it sounds, I actually did like a lot of corrective, like noise room removal, and it's still like.
It's tough to work with that stuff because it's such a long echo that it's tough. It can be kind of tough with that. But so we got like a bunch of different baffling panels up and hanging from the ceiling. The ceiling ones were the shock to me.
I've never seen those.
I had not seen those either. But it's a tall space, so it makes sense. And so we're gonna finish that video up on Sunday, and then we'll probably take about a week or so to get this podcast studio space moved in, and then God willing we'll be streaming all the podcasts out of there. This will be the last Bizarre Briefing from Brian's home.
So to answer a Dylan question, this might be the last Bizarre Briefing here.
Yeah. And for real this time.
Yeah. Cut to 1 year later.
So I walked in there today to get the lens that Brandt and John are on today on the video version of the podcast, and seeing that room with the baffling in it, and like they added some little rugs in the room, and just walking in there and seeing it and hearing it sound pretty good actually made me feel like, okay, this is gonna work. Like it's always been a little iffy. because
I mean, especially when it was like a storage space and you're like, I don't see anything in here. It's just all trash.
It's just all the material and stuff that has nowhere else to go. And with so many different parts of the property kind of turning into different things, like we built the steel structure, which was going to house the store, the Scam Stuff store. And now there's some businessy stuff that we're not doing that just yet. But then there was talk of like, well, we'll go shoot Modern Rogue out there because it sounds kind of nice, and it's got a cement floor and it's close to outside. But also like the whole reason we're gonna do the studio space so we could do a bunch of stuff in there. So different things, things get said and then different things happen. But seeing that studio and seeing the sound treatment working really well really had me feeling very positive about the space.
Yeah. Especially for, all the podcasts that we do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's going to be, that's probably the stuff that we do, except for like really crazy shoot weeks. But like, we do like, what do we do? 3.5 hours for Night Attack. Weird Things is about 2 hours, and then Cord Killers can be up to 3 hours, so like that's 8 hours a week of content getting made. I guess Modern Rogue shoot days can kind of ebb and flow, but that's the most consistent thing that we do, and we do it every week. And so knowing that we have a home for that is exciting, and it's a lot of space. It is a lot of space. I mean, I was very excited when we reconfigured this room like 3 years ago, and kind of doubled the space so that like 3 people could kind of be in here at once. So now that we have this huge open space and it doesn't sound like garbage, is really cool.
I do have to say, I think the fate of that barn we erected will just be a Modern Rogue studio. I mean, it kind of would act as a perfect like studio lot kind of studio, like moving flats and adjusting lighting, having a lighting cage.
I guess I don't see why the indoor studio space couldn't also be that.
It could be, but Modern Rogue does a lot of big builds, and
and you need a lot of space. And that big studio room's just not very big. Sorry, that was actually a sarcasm jab. But like I don't know. I mean, I think there is something. I think there will continue to be a reason to use that steel structures stuff, because there's so many like explosives things and fires things, anything with liquids. But also like we'll talk about article videos in a little bit here, but like those don't need to be done out in there necessarily. And
that is true.
If the selling point on these two if the selling difference between these two spaces is like sets and lighting, then there's no difference, because they're both going to have sets and lighting.
But like multiple sets that can be changed, like within minutes, like multiple flats.
That was the goal with that studio space. Yeah. So I think we have kind of a space here. We have some set stuff here. Let me see if I can get a camera going to kind of show you this a little bit. Brian's sort of trifold / bifold set from when he used to do. He would actually take this set out to do his live shows at. This bifold with the fake concrete and the sort of corrugated plastic will probably be the basis for the podcasting background, instead of the eggshell baffling behind the guys, behind Brian, because there's no that's not what the baffling looks like, and it's not how it's set up there. So it won't look too different. We will probably get a chance to change lenses and stuff. It'll be interesting to set all the stuff up again over there. I don't know. What do you guys feel about the new space?
Man, I'm still fully locked into don't have any expectations for literally anything until everything's all finished.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it sounds better. That's true. And, it's changing over time, but until things are happening there regularly, I don't really have any basis for anything.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I guess I've kind of unlocked that. I'm past that tipping point now because that room has good sound, and it would be a day to kind of move all of this stuff over there, more or less. So yeah, I don't know, John, because you kind of came in like. Were you here when he bought the place? How long have you been here now?
No, I've only been here since end of December.
Yeah. Okay. So how are you feeling about it since you were bored in this? We were merely adopted.
And of course, I guess I'm experiencing part of what you guys are insofar as no, it'll be up next month. You know, it's going to happen like right away. Mm-hmm. And so month after month, I've been seeing the progress. So I'm on board. I just know that certain other things get quickly adapted for. What is the word when somebody just immediately adapts their perspective and they're like, oh, fine, this is like how it is.
Like a paradigm shift?
Recontextualize. Brian does the recontextualize thing a lot. And I immediately saw that with the barn. One day it's like, no, we're done with our lease and we're going to have this for our warehouse. Next day it's like, you know what? We don't really need that for a warehouse. It's good. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I still think that store will eventually move. I think they will figure out the businessy stuff that they need to get the store over there. Cause I mean, part of that is an expense cutting thing, right? So that we can get out of that lease and that, lease thing eventually. And I think because I don't know, Brian's been talking about what our next sort of fundraising campaign is going to look like. And I'm sure getting that expenditure off the books every month is a kind of a pretty big, thorn in his craw. So I don't know. We'll see more about that. Fingers crossed. Next episode will be in the new space. There will be room for everybody. It'll be nice.
Only time will tell.
I'm pretty sure I will have my office there by then.
Oh, okay, cool. Then we'll check in on that too. So
by mine, I mean our office.
We'll see. We'll see what that looks like. We'll see what it looks like next month.
4 rooms, 1 office.
Oh, don't get me started on the number of rooms. So, Brandt.
Yeah. Hey, what's up? That's me.
You have been
that's
doing.
My name.
That's you. That's you, and that's your name. You've been doing a thing. You just did your second of this thing, right?
True. Yes.
And that is for the Modern Rogue Patreon, a monthly recap of all of the content that's been made.
Yeah, I figured that would be kind of a good idea. It's just sort of like, hey, here's everything we did over the past month. When we did like our first big Patreon update as a video, people really responded to it because there was a lot of transparency in it. And admittedly, that one was more like money focused than this is. This is more of just here's the stuff that we've made. But I realized that. When let's say you're a $5 patron, you very rarely see what's going on in the upper tiers, the tiers above you. Just because you never get those notifications. You only see it if you actually go to the Patreon page and look at the posts, and then all of those are locked.
You see that you're missing something.
Yeah. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to have like a broad general post just to keep everybody updated on everything that's going on in all of the tiers, so that way you could just be like more informed to, one, make sure that you haven't missed anything if you want to watch all of our stuff, and two, to see kind of what the value add is for other tiers that you're maybe not a part of.
And also anyone who thinks like, what are they doing with all this money? Like a lot.
Yeah,
sure. And yeah, so it just, I mean, also like one of my secrets is that I just steal everything from the No Clip Patreon, who do video game documentaries, and they did monthly recaps a while back. So
I see.
I was just like, oh, that's a smart idea. Yeah, I'm gonna do that too.
I know when we started the Patreon, I had done maybe 1 or 2 like recap things, but I'm not clued into the Modern Rogue stuff as much, and so it kind of fell through the cracks a bit. But I'm glad that you're doing it, and giving people a lot of good information, not just not just even the stuff inside the tiers, but also like the public stuff, like our briefing is listed here, public videos that we've put out, updates like the some of these photos with HQ are really good to get out, because otherwise we don't have too many other places to put this out.
Right. Sure.
Or certainly not in a place that is very text heavy, right? Like we could post these to Twitter and it could just be that for a minute, but this is like, here's the information about it. This is the press release about where we're at right now. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and it's also something I'm always thinking about, like in what ways is our Patreon presence deficient? And there are many ways in which it is. And it's like at least this breathes a little bit of life into it and makes it so that it's not just, here's an episode, here's the first pass edit for that episode, here's an episode, here's the first pass edit for that episode, which is kind of what a lot of our stuff has been, especially lately. So at least this has a little bit more going on for it.
Yeah, I'm excited. That's really, really good stuff.
Yeah.
So as always, we've got shoots going on. We had a bunch of shoots now that Brian is sort of done with his travel for the year. We have had a lot of shoots since the past episode. Most recently, we talked a little bit already about the sound treatment, but also the big one was we had the Lockpicking lawyer here in town for a couple of days, and we shot like 6 videos with that dude.
Yeah, that was cool. It was fun to see. Lockpicking lawyer, his videos take in my view, the exact opposite approach of Modern Rogue. Like Modern Rogue says, we have maybe sort of a cool idea, but it's probably not going to work. So we're just going to like build off of that with our character and try to make that thing entertaining. And Lockpicking lawyer seems to be like, I've got this really cool thing and it's going to work, and I can be as bare bones as I want to be with it because it's so cool that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting to see those two things collide. The videos were way more fast and efficient than we usually do because he knew what he was doing.
Sure.
And those things worked.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of interesting to see the guys try to figure out their role in something that just works. It kind of reminded me of like a very short version of the bladesmithing video, where the bladesmithing video, they were like, okay, we're going to be kind of hands off and just let you do your thing.
Yeah.
Because that's really cool and interesting by itself. And this was a little bit more hands on than that necessarily, and a lot faster.
Yeah. Because it was simple steps that the guys could replicate, and in every case ended up replicating more or less. So it was like you could show that it's not like, oh, you need to know lockpicking and hit the pins. It's like we focus a lot on bypasses, and so it's like other exploits on locks that isn't just pick the pins.
Right. Yeah, so it was just interesting to see them figure that stuff out and to have a little bit of a different dynamic going on. And
he really was like on point. Like sometimes, Brian and Jason have been doing videos together as Modern Rogue for a few years now. Brian's obviously been doing Scam School for a long time. And so it's really interesting when someone like the Lockpicking lawyer comes in and has not only their own sort of take on how to present information, but also just the style of presenting stuff. He was very he was incredibly well spoken. He had no flubs. He didn't really have too many verbal crutches. He spoke with authority and without a lot of stops and saying, and and all of the stuff I'm doing right now.
And Brian didn't have to give him his favorite note of don't say the thing and then do the thing, just do the thing or something.
There was a little less of that too. And so it was very cool. It was very cool to see that. It's always really interesting when someone who has a different style comes in and has like a kind of an established style, so that he fit in, but also had some authority on how he presents himself. That was really cool.
Yeah, Dylan asked if there was a clash between the styles, and I think maybe for the first episode there was a little bit of like trying to figure out the balance.
Yeah.
But I think
because he's kind of demure, maybe a good word for it. He's kind of he states it very cool stuff very flatly and assured, where Brian and Jason are kind of the opposite, right? Like kind of like just kind of catching every spark and seeing what goes.
Right. Yeah.
Demure is the exact word.
Yeah. But also we shot those kind of differently.
We did. Yeah.
So I wouldn't even say it was a clash between styles so much as it was us trying to adapt to his style.
Right. Because he's protective of his identity. And so he didn't want his face being shown. He didn't want his name being shown. No personally identifiable information. And so it meant that we ended up doing like an all hands set of video, like just hands, I guess. Not all hands, not like, though we did have a lot of people with us. Just hands working on the stuff. And that was pretty much it.
Yeah. So we brought the crane back out, which
That's
is
right.
the first time in a while, especially since we often don't shoot at the old warehouse, which is where the crane has been living all this time.
Right.
So we did that for kind of an overhead shot, and then we just kept the side cameras real close to the hands. There was brief talk about doing Austin Powers style, having things in front of the camera to block his face, which seemed like an impossible thing.
And it would have been not just in terms of, because we like Austin Powers is a movie and it's shot with a single camera, probably mostly. And so you can just choreograph those shots very specifically.
They block all that and they storyboard that kind of stuff.
Right. Where we shoot stuff studio style. And so we have 3+ cameras going at any one time. And it just would have been impossible. And it also meant that like we will probably have some form of first pass edits. They'll probably require some work just in case his name gets said or his face gets shown.
Yeah, the first one will need more censoring than all the rest, but I think all of them will have first pass edits.
Yeah.
And I got that our vise bolted down.
That's right.
Or at least I supervised the task.
Though it was bolted on the shot on the desk in the store warehouse. Right?
Yeah.
So
it's bolted somewhere.
It's bolted somewhere, so we probably know where it is still.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and whatever, we can just install it on one of the benches at the new place.
Yeah. I'll supervise that too.
But that was great. It was really cool, and Lockpicking the lawyer was a really cool guy. So
Yeah.
those will be, I don't know when those will come out, but those will be soon.
First one is going to come out not this upcoming Friday, but next Friday.
Oh, cool. There you go. Keep an eye out. YouTube.com/ModernRogue. Some other shoots really quickly. We had James Harrison.
We both had James Harrison.
Modern Rogue and Scam Nation both had shoots with James Harrison. He is a magician and a pickpocket, and so he taught some magic tricks, of course, but also some like very fundamental or basic pickpocketing techniques. That was interesting. Especially on the Modern Rogue side, along with the other shoot that we just wrapped up, which was homebrewing, a homebrewing episode that we shot that kind of needed a second part because it takes time to homebrew, and the guys didn't do it. They had a professional guest expert come in and do it. But they were both a little different in that they were both wrapped up without Brandt at the shoot day.
Very suspicious.
It was all scheduling stuff, right?
Yeah, they were both on Thursday evenings.
Yeah, and Brandt takes the Friday videos usually, but they went very well. You know, the pickpocketing one felt just like a Scam Nation video. It'll be a breeze. It was good, and we had done the night before a Scam Nation shoot out at a bar with like the first part of it, so like him doing just kind of showing off, and like you see him like pick someone's pocket and do these magic tricks and stuff. And then the homebrewing tasting was also pretty straightforward. It's just they sat down and they drank the beer and they said they liked the beer.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Oops, shit, sorry.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I liked it.
Did you like it? I don't drink beer, so I did not have any.
I mean, I don't like that kind of beer because that beer has, flavor. I'm more of a lager, like give me Corona with the salt and lime.
Yeah.
But for beer, it tasted great.
How do you feel about those videos, Brandt, knowing that there's a part, or in the case of the pickpocketing, probably a majority of it that you haven't seen yet?
Very lost.
Yeah.
Pickpocketing especially is just like, I don't even know what that video is. I don't know what goes into it. I don't know what the edit process will look like. So that's going to be something that I'll assign to John, because I usually like to, when we shoot a video, like I'm coming up with ideas. If later we're going to talk about Operation Mincemeat, and like I had ideas for the animations for that video as we were shooting it. And I knew how I was going to cut it as we were shooting it. So not having that advanced preview at what my edit is going to look like makes me feel like I don't know if that video is going to work, because I just have zero context for what it even really is. Like, I don't know if like the bit about the pickpocketing video that I saw was what I shot, which felt like a Scam Nation video. So I don't even know like where the Scam Nation aspect of it and the Monorogue aspect of it split.
Yeah. If it assuages, I mean, if John's going to do it anyway, it doesn't matter too much. But if it assuages it, like we talked about some of that stuff in the shoot and as it was happening. So like, we're going to do an intro. We're going to toss to some of the footage from the performance. We'll come back and he's going to demonstrate this technique. And then I don't know if they did it back to each other. They might have tested it. It was basically like how to get something out of someone's front pocket and how to get something out of someone's back pocket.
Yeah, it's going to play more like a this is what you should know as a citizen of the world. This is how pickpocketing happens.
Also, because of the new YouTube monetization rules, it can't be how to steal or how to pickpocket. So there's a little bit of that.
It's like what pickpocketing
flavoring at the beginning.
Yeah, but it's just tough without having seen everything to like, usually I try to schedule our releases in specific ways, and there are a lot of variables that go into that.
Yeah.
And without really having a strong understanding of that episode, it's tough to even schedule. And homebrewing, I feel like it'll be a little bit easier because we have so much footage of the part one.
Yeah.
And that was like 2 days after I got exposed to poison oak. So
yeah. So you barely remember it anyway.
Yeah.
And the conclusion is seriously, I think
it was like 10 minutes maybe. It was super short.
At the most.
Yeah. So I feel like that one's simple enough. But yeah, it's just that one is super nebulous to me.
Yeah. I'll say once those come out, or if you go and take a look at the footage, or like the whole shoot footage, whatever, like I think you'll feel better or feel good about it. I don't know. We did it. We did a good job, Brandt. Come on.
Okay.
Non sequitur. I went to the same high school as our homebrewing guy.
Was it you? I thought it was your girlfriend.
Both of us.
Oh, okay.
We dated in high school. That's how I met her.
Wow, there we go.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, and there's also a weird thing about not being at shoots where I can be highly critical during edits because I feel like that feeds into a good edit to kind of
to yell at your computer.
Yeah, to like be able to enter into the mind of the viewer and the observer, who are going to be inherently more critical. And so sometimes I'll be editing and I'm like, God, what were you thinking with this shot? What like, and there's so many creative choices that are made throughout production that lead to any given result.
Yeah.
And I feel like at least if I'm there, then I can be a little bit easier on you guys because I can be like, oh, well, I made some mistakes too. But if it's just you guys, I'm just going to be ruthless. I'm just going to be like, how could you have done this to me?
Embrace the dark side. Just go ahead.
Well, and those two episodes went by so smoothly that I feel like even if you pick those episodes up, you would. I think we would surprise you. I think you would be pleasantly surprised.
All right. It sounds pretty confident, but
then he'd be like, it was a little clinical, guys.
I don't think anyone would accuse those videos of being clinical. So along with shoots, we also had some Modern Rogue videos come out. Any of these that are exciting to you guys?
Why is it a smoke pen saga?
Oh well, because
there were multiple parts.
There were multiple parts that all came together. So the smoke pen was a few weeks ago, and the emergency ninja smoke pen. Excuse me. And this is where they mixed in. What were the different components?
Towards the beginning, I do the equation, but there was we learned how to
flash
make
paper.
We learned how to make flash cotton, and we sell flash paper at Scam Stuff.
Oh, right.
And we learned how to make a fuse, and we learned how to make smoke bomb.
Oh, sure.
And so all of that together,
and it worked. It worked out pretty well.
It was a mild saga, I guess, for me, because the first week it was supposed to go out, I just said no, because after having it almost completely done, it made no sense to me whatsoever. Like, I kept watching it and watching it. I'm like, I don't actually understand how this got built at all.
I've had some Scam School episodes like that where they like do the trick and then they explain it. I'm like, I don't think I even understand what the trick is supposed to be doing right now.
Yeah, so I had to go back and add a bunch of graphics to like digitally build it for myself.
Really?
And then it made sense.
Huh? Did any of those make it in the video?
Yeah, all of them are in there.
I'm trying.
They're tiny. They're on the screen.
Gotcha.
I didn't cut away to them.
Yeah. But yeah, that happens, right? Where we're in the moment. They're so close to everything that happens, and they have a lot of trust in our abilities, but sometimes they kind of make it impossible, or it becomes impossible to maybe capture everything ideally. And because so much of it is like in the moment, like we're riffing, we're just keeping the energy going, it can be tough to kind of stop them and say, hey, either, and also because we don't have telepathy and we can sometimes just assume that everyone has it, but then maybe it doesn't end up being that way. Where it's tough to say, hey, we actually need to stop and rethink this or reblock this up. So this is kind of the end of that side, because it was 2 other videos or 3 other videos that made up all the different components.
I think 3.
Fuses, flash cotton. The smoke bomb was the older smoke bomb video. But yeah, and so they all came together. Yeah. And that whole stretch of videos, or at least the fuses and the flash cotton, that was like an ordeal shooting all of those.
Sure.
Because both of those processes take overnight to get done, and then we just like kept kicking the smoke pen down the road.
Well, I have a special Scam Stuff episode bonus footage that I'm going to release of the cooking on the smoke pen, because it took forever, so I just turned it into this time condensed fun little video to watch, but definitely didn't include it in the main.
What about any other videos that have come out recently that you guys are excited about? Want to dive into?
Escapology was fun.
Yeah. This was which Escapology, because we shot 2 that day, if I'm right.
Yeah, we did. This one is the nickel knife and the nickel saw.
It's the product demo.
Yeah, the product demo.
Testing 5 different escape products.
Yes.
So John, did you edited this one?
Yeah.
How was it doing this? Because I think Brandt, you've been at the helm when we've done other, like, here's a bunch of stuff that we're trying out, like the worst aid kit video, for example. How was it for you, John, given that it's like 5 subjects in
mildly the edit was easy. The only frustration I think I had toward the end is I really wish I could have gotten a hold of those products like in advance and done some real close-up showing exactly how they work, because no matter how close you get, they're literally the size of a nickel, and so it's tough to see. I mean, I think it comes off in context, but I really wish I had a full extra day to like get some really, tight things.
Yeah. So that came out. Also, Trevor. We went and shot some more videos with Trevor, and so those have started to come out.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Dylan asked, when will the crane finally be moved to the property? No idea. Someday. He also asked, will the property actually get a bar set or Scam Nation shoot area like Brian suggested early on? That sounds like a way down the road kind of idea.
Yeah. Certainly like a replica bar set will not be for a while, but
yeah,
I could see us wrangling together a background for some Scam Nation stuff.
Sure.
But probably not a full bar. I don't know where that would go. I don't know what that would be.
Yeah.
So in terms of other videos, Brandt, the Operation Mincemeat video, the sort of World War II story video came out. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. I was only able to do like a third or maybe half of the animations that I wanted to do for that. But it reminds me a lot of the best parts of the article videos, without all of the stuff that I really strongly dislike.
Because listeners to the show will remember that the article videos are very quick to shoot, but they are also a lot of fact checking, a lot of graphics, compositions, and they're kind of heavy on editing versus shooting time, right?
Sure. And I think this kind of has a similar ratio of editing and research compared to production shooting and stuff. But and I'll try not to be mean about any of this, but like I've never understood our articles. I've never understood the appeal.
The articles themselves or the article video?
The articles themselves.
Okay.
And so like, when I first heard that we were going to have articles on our website, I guess I thought of it kind of like a motherboard or something, where it's like, oh, here's like this in-depth reporting on this one interesting story. And we're going to paint this really comprehensive picture of it and make it really interesting. And then it ended up being a lot of listicles. With like a very specific tone that didn't resonate with me.
Okay, yeah. And if people don't quite remember, when Cracked let off kind of a lot of writers sort of all at once, Brian, who had at the time was like very enamored with like being GQ magazine for some reason, said, hey, I would like to do some written stuff, and so let's hire some people and get some articles written. And so for like 6 months or something, there were new articles like 5 times a week. And they were in that Cracked style, which are kind of listicle like, but also kind of fleshed out, but they do have a very specific kind of bombastic sort of tone.
Yeah. And so it didn't really meet up with my expectations. And I especially feel like, and this is not necessarily like the fault of any one writer or anything, but I felt like when I started doing article videos, it really highlighted for me a lot of the problems I had with the articles, because I would look into it and be like, oh, there's only one source for this one item that's here. You could find better sources. You could find more sources. You look into it and you go, oh, this story is only being like, you're only covering some of the cursory surface level of this story, and there's a lot of like really interesting stuff going on deeper in here that this article can't cover because it's got 4 other things to get through, and so I was like, well, if I feel like the article is not good, why would we make a video based solely and entirely on a not great article? And so I feel like the video suffered because they didn't have as much to work off of that they could have, if even, let's say, the article just focused on one specific thing instead of a variety of them, and just went more in depth into it.
Like, what kind of direction would you push us in? Like, for example, have you ever read any skeptic magazines or
no,
like science journal kind of stuff?
A little here and there. I'm actually like, it's weird because I know that I'm extremely not the demographic for our articles.
Right. I'm not either when they were being published, I was not reading them because I'm not into Cracked. And
Right.
it seemed to be a lot
And
of
I mean,
that.
I was like everybody was for like 3 years. Like you couldn't stop reading Cracked.
And also just like, I just don't read much. And, you know, I don't say that proudly because I know how that sounds. But like I've always had issues reading things and retaining what I read. And so I end up, that's why I work in video, because I just don't read a whole lot. So I don't know.
I will say the reading that I do, and maybe this is in line with what direction you would push them at, is I like. Thanks for calling that.
Wasn't going to say
we didn't
anything.
miss it.
I wasn't going to say anything,
But like when I do finish reading something, I like to feel like I did get the comprehensive, like smartest person's take on it.
Right. Yeah.
And that's how you feel like if you read like an article from Skeptic Magazine, or if you read like, you know, one of the great canonical Western books, like you feel like you got, you know.
But I guess the difference is that, and I would probably say Cracked was the same, is that it's not exactly journalism. It's not exactly heavy research. You know, they are written content. It's written content, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a treatise on the thing that are on this list. It's, you know, here's a collection of stuff very quickly. It's
Dig or Reddit, where it's like, here's a scattershot of a bunch of ideas and hopefully something sticks with you.
Kinda. I don't know if it was on this program or maybe it was on my other podcast, but you look at places that were really heavy on listicles a few years ago, specifically BuzzFeed, because my other podcast is about BuzzFeed, and so I'm on there a lot, and that style of writing is completely out of fashion. It is. I'm sure there's still some going on today, but that's not what that industry isn't what it was, you know, 2 years ago, even a year ago. And I think probably because of the same thing, because they're just quick serotonin hits, and someone probably realized why does it even need to be 6 different things? Just make one for a different one and write it a little longer. And so it's very weird. I mean, it turns out digital publishing, we didn't solve it. We weren't going to solve it.
Sure. And I guess like ultimately I shouldn't be terribly surprised, because it's always been a clash with me and Modern Rogue as Brian and Jason present it, because, you know, like we'll have the PVC blowgun video, and it's just Brian and Jason screwing around, making jokes and doing their shtick. And then there's like a 3-minute segment in the middle of me going, okay, so they said 10 penny nails, and I want to know why people call it 10 penny nails. What does that even mean? And then I go into this whole like historical diatribe of how people used to weigh 100 nails, and that's how like the naming convention started. Yeah. And then like we get into LSD, the currency, which is a weird thing. It's like a pre-decimalization currency.
Okay.
And so like to me, there's so much like interesting nuance in the details, and that gets totally skimmed over in a lot of the articles, and even just the way that Brian and Jason present a lot of topics.
Yeah.
And so that's like what I tried to inject into the edit. And
it's very difficult when you can't come at that from a production day standpoint, right?
Right.
They don't say it. They never looked into it. It's you after the fact, and unless you record yourself on video and also add that many more hours of production time, you have to figure out a way to do it visually or textually, which is kind of inherently inefficient, or certainly less attention is paid to.
Sure. And also, you know, you have to add research time into that to uncover these kind of things, and there's a really tight deadline that can't be moved for some reason. So it's like a lot of times it's really incongruous with the show that we do.
So let's bring it back to Operation Mincemeat video then.
Yeah.
What was different about this? Because was there a Modern Rogue article about this that they based it off, or
No.
was this just Jason's
a story.
initial research of the story?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so this is also kind of similar to Operation Mincemeat is kind of similar to the television intrusion video that we did. What's the name?
The guy with the mask. We did a
Guy with
whole
the mask.
scam domain.com at Max Headroom.
Max Headroom.
The Max Headroom hack.
Yeah, and so it's kind of a similar thing where it's like Brian calls them ghost story videos or whatever. It's an interesting thing happened, and the guys talk about that event, and this was kind of in the same vein, and there was a lot of interesting detail that I dug up that I wasn't able to incorporate into the video, kind of similar to a lot of our other videos, but they actually did hit on like some of the interesting nuance. So it was really nice to have this one video that was just focused on the details of this one event and go into it a bit more comprehensively. You don't have a minute and a half to talk about this event and then rank it against some other events on some arbitrary scale. It's just like, oh, let's talk about this cool thing that happened for 10 minutes and get into as much detail as we can. So one of the things that interested me that they did talk about is, like the logistics of, so the part of the mission, they had to carry this corpse in a submarine out into the ocean and then release it with these documents.
Right.
And in order to do that, they needed to have this like capsule to put the body into, or this container to put the body into. And Brian talks a little bit about they were so focused on the body that they didn't really think about the logistics of what to do with the container after they dumped the body. So they tried to sink it, and they had guns, so they just shot at it a bunch, and then that didn't sink it. So they put explosives on it and then blew it up and sunk it that way. And that's just like such a fun little detail that would have been totally overlooked if we didn't focus the whole video on this.
Yeah.
And there's so much that didn't go into it. So like, part of the reason they had to use the container, and this didn't go into the video, is they like filled it with dry ice. And they filled it with dry ice, one, to keep the body cold, to preserve it for longer, but also because as it was releasing carbon dioxide,
That sounds right.
it was pushing oxygen out of the container, which also helped to preserve it more. And so like there's also like a bunch of interesting details about the reason why they had to use a briefcase for all the documents, that didn't go into the video or whatever.
Sure.
And so like I do kind of wish there was a little bit more research done on the video, because it felt kind of like a let's skim Wikipedia and talk about the things that are on Wikipedia, which, admittedly, when the guys don't do any research, my first stop is usually Wikipedia to be like, okay, let me wrap my mind around this thing.
Yeah.
But I felt like there was so much fewer arbitrary like goalposts that they were setting for themselves that they always do in the article videos. And the article videos, I really liked the first two or so, because I was so focused on building up the aesthetic, and I was like, this is a different type of video, so I wanted to look and feel different. So I was like developing all of these little nuances that go into those videos, and then I kind of was just left with articles. And this was just like, we got to tell that story, and it wasn't the most comprehensive telling of that story, but I feel so much more like proud of that work than I would be of saying, here's five businessmen who got caught.
Yeah. Got caught doing what?
That got caught doing.
Oh, you're right there.
Something.
Doing something.
Doing something for the first time historically.
Okay.
And then got punished for it. That article. If it's like that thing, and it's just like, we just collected 5 things that fit this theme.
Yeah.
Telling like one story about one interesting thing feels so much more comprehensive and cohesive, and I just like it so much more.
Very cool. Well, it sounded like they were open to that format, and there might be more like that in the future.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We'll see.
All right, let's skip ahead here. One last bit of Modern Rogue business. Brandt, as usually comes up on the show, we have a shirt update.
Shirt update. Yeah. So first of all, quarter two. Still talking about quarter two in month 9.
Okay. Okay.
At the end of quarter 3.
Okay.
So I had heard that, or I had seen that proofs came in last week. I don't know anything more than that, except I said, change it just a tiny bit and it's good. Please ship these out to people.
Sure.
Please get this done. So maybe that'll be done soon.
Okay.
I wish David were here so I could ask him.
Yeah.
But, so quarter 3.
Quarter 3. Yep. We have a design for.
We have a design for. I don't know if it's finished.
Okay. Do you mind if I show it as it? I mean, you linked
Sure.
this.
Who designed this?
I did.
Oh, nice.
So I'm trying to take a look at this because I'm kind of a Modern Rogue newbie. So it says
Okay.
Modern Rogue at the top. It says science adjacent. It looks like there's the Earth here.
Yes, that is the planet Earth.
There's lines at the poles and an arrow going around, so it's rotating, and then it looks like
Nice,
this
yes.
is orbiting it, and that's the moon.
Yep.
And it's also got a little
Spot
orbit symbol here. Now there's a
100%.
third object
Great. Yeah.
orbiting, and it kind of
You
looks.
observed that correctly.
And that's a very big file.
It is a very big file.
And it looks like the halo from Halo. Now, I don't know if the halo from Halo was orbiting the Earth. Am I close?
So this doesn't really look like the halo from Halo. I guess
the halo from Halo.
if you
It's a
make
circle. It's a circle, and that's what
it is a circle. They are both circles. I guess if you look at like the orbital trajectory,
it's perpendicular
it's
to
sort
the
of
moon.
similar to the halo in that it is actually
Is it a
around
Dyson ring or a Dyson sphere?
it is the ionosphere. The false diagram of the ionosphere from our radio video, where Brian makes a joke about the ionosphere being a sphere of ions that orbits around the Earth.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of real science mixed in with a whole lot of fake science.
and thus, that's still very big. It becomes science adjacent.
It is science adjacent.
There we go.
Yeah,
Coming-
and so it's a kind of thing where you look at it, and if you don't know anything about Modern Rogue, you're like, that's kind of cool and weird, and I don't understand. I understand parts of it, but not all of it.
I kind of get it.
And then if
As
you're
a big Halo fan.
yeah, big Halo fans in the house.
That's right.
Got the Arbiter in there.
Cortana's on there somewhere.
Cortana, yep.
Master Chef.
John,
Yeah.
is his
Am
name?
I in there?
Okay. Yeah, that's right. John's the Master. Sorry, spoiler alert. Halo 6. John's the Master Chief.
And then if you're familiar with that specific episode, then it's like a fun little thing.
I still like my science adjacent Murphy design.
Oh, okay. That'd be a good like big block letters. Science adjacent Murphy.
Yeah, I'm not feeding too much into adjacent. That
Not adjacent, just adjacent. I feel like you could get away with science adjacent Murphy, like 3 lines. Kind of like oh man, do the Dropkick Murphys have a logo? Could it just be anyway? This is just pitching. Well, very cool. Everybody keep an eye out for that on the Patreon. There's a level just for the t-shirts, and so that's updates with that.
Yeah, and the deadline for that will be 1st of October. So the 1st of next month is if you get your pledge in by then, you'll get the shirt. And so I'll try to finalize the design before that deadline.
Yeah. Very cool. So if we can switch topics here just a little bit, Night Attack. I think did I talk about this last episode? Let me look in the doc. Yes, we did mention this. So Night Attack last Tuesday, which is why we're doing this again at the 1st of the month and not the end of the month, did the Out of Bounds Comedy Festival, a live comedy festival here in Austin, Texas. John was there on site with me. Justin, Robert Young, Brian's co-host on Night Attack, was there. Bonnie showed up. Corey and Martin from Double Toasted both ended up being there. Tom Merritt from Daily Tech News Show was also there. And the live shows are always a weird thing. The live shows are always a weird thing because they like to have guests. They like to have people come on and be, quote unquote celebrity guests. And when we did those banked episodes earlier in a few months ago when Justin was going to Italy for a couple of weeks,
Right.
We had guests come in, including Corey and Martin, and on that episode, the guy said, "Oh, because Double Toasted is going and doing these live shows. What if we did a live night attack that's in Austin, that's not at South by Southwest and costs $1 million, and let's work in the Double Toasted guys, Corey and Martin, and we'll do this big thing. We'll do it. We'll go and do it at the North Door again. We'll get it all settled out." And then it was a very tight window to do that because Corey and Martin are like going and continuing doing more shows, so their time is very kind of restricted when they can do that. So we weren't really sure. We kind of had a date sketched out, but then it sort of went to the wayside once we got into the Out of Bounds Comedy Festival, and we were like, well, we'll do it then. And we weren't sure what day they were going to give us, and it's like a 7-day festival, so it could have been any time. And it ended up being on a Tuesday, which is bad for Corey and Martin because that's when all the movie reviewers go and see movies, and they record their show, and so it's tough for Tuesdays are tough for them. That's why they're not on Night Attack a lot. And so it ended up just being, well, we're doing this show. Corey Martin probably won't be there, and then like the day before, I think, or maybe even the day of, like, I found out that Corey and Martin were actually going to be able to make it. We knew Corey was going to be able to make it, and Martin was a maybe because I think he had some other work stuff going on. But it was the sort of thing of like, we had ideas, had ideas for even more and bigger guests who would come on, and that didn't manifest. Even when it looked like it would manifest very last minute, it didn't happen. But also, like, if it had been nailed down earlier, we could have used them to promote it. Like, hey, this is the thing that we told you we were gonna. It's gonna be Night Attack and Double. And granted, it would not have been the same, like, both shows doing a whole podcast thing on their own and with tickets and stuff. But it would have been like, hey, we kind of made good on this, right? More or less. And so it's very weird. It's very weird because just the stage shows are always very sort of off the cuff in terms of what is happening and who is on it. But then that can make it difficult to promote it.
Sure.
I think Double Toasted is a big Austin institution. I'm sure their fans would have come out and seen it too. So, I like us doing an Austin show, and I like it not being during South by Southwest.
Yeah.
But and it was very nice when we could be attached to a festival and we had a time and a place and all that stuff. But it was definitely one of those things where it would have been nice to have more stuff. I always just really wish stuff could be decided ahead of time, or like we'll say we'll do something, and then I found out just offhandedly, oh no, the thing we weren't going to do, we need you to do. Oh, this stuff we're actually going to, like, I'm not clued into the conversations, and so I find out in extraneous ways things happen, and so
it kind of puts you in a weird bind of either being so ambiguous as to being unhelpful, or to say, hey, we're doing this very specific thing, and then
that's not what happens.
Then that changes 4 times after you've said that.
Yeah. And so we did film it. John was there helping film it. That's going to air, if you're watching this live, on twitch.tv/Night Attack at 9 o'clock Central, or it'll be in the feeds as the usual episode for the week. John, how was it for you filming that?
It was all right. Like, I've shot a lot of live shows in the past, and I am no stranger. Brian and you emphasized to make sure to get some sexy audience shots.
I don't know what Brian told you. I know that. So we are trying to get some footage together of Night Attack stuff for. We just put a lot of static noise right here for about 30 seconds. I didn't want to mention. But we're trying to get a lot of footage and make the show look very good. And so one of the things someone asked us for, like, hey, do we have shots of the audience? And that's not normally a thing that we have, because when we go and do these live shows, it's usually just me. Yeah. And my focus for, the podcast is like, let's get close up so I have angles so we can kind of make it looking a little different. And I knew we needed a couple of shots of the audience, but we ended up with a lot of audience stuff.
Yeah, apologies.
I was we were talking a little bit about kind of getting mad at the edit, and that was me a little bit. I was like, this is a lot. This is a long story. No one's laughing at it. Please.
I had to change all the camera settings every single time I went back or forth, and
yeah,
I'm like,
said ISO auto. The ISO auto stuff on the GH5 is crazy.
Yeah.
Just we have that. So we have the Voigt. So this is a tangent. We have the Voigtlander lens, which has which can get very, very wide open aperture, and is a manual exposure ring. So you could it's not digital. You're not hitting a button. And if you have the ISO set to auto, it's so fast that it will keep up with you changing the exposure, but you can watch the depth of field change because the aperture is getting bigger or smaller. And so it's a very cool thing. And when was it? Oh, when we did the South by Southwest VIP event, it was a thing of because it was outside and the cloud coverage kept changing. And it wasn't until we were done with the first like hour-long portion of it that I was like, oh, I should have just done this instead of running back and forth and trying to change exposure levels the whole time by myself. But ISO auto, check it out.
I will embrace that next time.
But there's still some good stuff, and we got good audience stuff out of that. So I'm going to send that off to our person today. But so we'll be streaming that. And yeah, our openers were great. The opening acts were very funny. I should hit them up because they are in Austin and they were great. But both of them like had to jet to go do like another show. So it was this very weird thing of like, you know, the Night Attack was more or less was headlining that night. It was the two openers for 10 minutes each, and then us for what was scheduled to be an hour. And then I don't know, when they were like, oh no, I would love to, but I have to go and do another set. It was very much like, oh yeah, they are whole hog on comedy. Like comedy is their thing, or is a significant portion of their lives. And here we're like, Night Attack is just one slice of everything.
Brian's right though. Comedians hate magicians.
No, they don't. They don't.
I'm telling you, I did my DVD burning web series or whatever with like 30 stand-up comics. The DVD they always went for was my Copperfield. Every time they wanted that to burn.
But it's not just comedians. Everybody makes fun of magic.
Fair.
You know,
we all hate magicians is what you're saying.
I'm going to put about 30 seconds of white noise here. It is a thing because, you know, I follow some other comedians. Magicians are a very easy, very easy target. And it takes a lot for me to be like, I work for a magician. I work for a lot of magicians. I do a lot of magic stuff. And I think it's anyway. So yeah, I would love us to do a dedicated Night Attack thing, something that's not as big as the South by Southwest show, because that was what 3+ hours.
Yeah. Geez.
But can also work in some of our local friends. So I love that to be something that we do next year. And in terms of if we do another South by Southwest time slotted thing when it comes up in like 6 months, that's no one knows about that. So just keep your ears on nightattack.tv and we'll let you know about that stuff. Also, I was going to say this. We didn't even use our whole hour.
Oh.
We had an hour-long slot. We ended up going, I think the edited file is down to like 50 minutes or something. And that, because like they talk for about 30 minutes and then we play the game. And the thing about the games is like, you know, I prepped a lot of startups for the Startup Spelling Bee, this game that we do. And we didn't go through a lot of that. We went through, everyone took one turn at it, but there were a lot of people on stage. But it was this weird sort of thing where I got off and like, that was very short. I kind of wanted to do more of that because it was fun. I always have fun doing the game stuff. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to like us for that or hate us for not, like, we under-delivered or we didn't go over. I don't know.
Well, they got to spend a little time with Brian.
The audience did, sure. I'm thinking of the festival. But it was Tuesday night. No one gives a shit. So, that was Night Attack. Let's talk about Scam Nation shoots. The big one was Alan Paoletti, a magician. Where is he out of? Dallas? He's only a few hours away. He's a Texas friend, and he came down and we shot about 6 videos or something over the course of 2 days with him, and those were good. The first one of those actually is out now. The Melts Ending card through Fabric,
and it seems to be doing well. Am I wrong?
Yeah, 27,000 is pretty good for us today.
It's the first time we've been back at the Handlebar in a while, right?
It is. I don't think we've shot a Scam Nation video at Handlebar. I don't know that we've actually shot at Handlebar since we made the Scam Nation changeover.
Man, I was so anxious that shoot.
Yeah, I could tell that you were not a super happy camper with that one.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good. Alan was great. The videos that we got were good. This video that came out, the Melt Ending card, is actually the second one that we filmed, because the first one is a trick from that James Harrison teaches when we shot with him, the pickpocket stuff.
Oh.
And so I think when they were talking about it, I don't remember if they just skipped over it or if they mentioned it in such a way that we could cut it. But I kind of don't want that video to come out until that performance gets shown on Modern Rogue. But also the way that performance happened, it was all kind of one big thing. So you could easily chop those out and not have it be a thing at all anyway. Also, I don't have that footage. I think one of you guys has the footage.
Right.
So that's a weird thing. But otherwise, a bunch of other stuff was good. We also had Rex for 2 videos the next day after the Handlebar shoot. So Rex is back and has great reactions and stuff, and learns some cool stuff. That second day was weird. So we shot 4 at the Handlebar with Alan, and they were like, well, he's in town, and if we go and do it somewhere kind of more offsite, out of the way, we don't need everybody. So because of Brandt, it was already, we were shooting Thursday night, and so you doing also Friday would have been a big ask.
Right.
But it was this weird thing of like, we went to the distillery, the Fang and Feather / the Crowded Barrel, where Whiskey Tribe is at, and it was weird that it was a little weird because we kind of rushed to get there at the time that we set, but then we weren't ready until like later because we wanted to wait until people came to try and use them like we would in a scam school thing.
But then once people got there, we're like, all right, time to
because that's like Brian's crowd. And they didn't seem very interested in all of that stuff because they're big business people, whatever. But then it was like, well, you said Rex would be here, so why did we wait so long to go and shoot with Rex? Because we thought that was the plan. In any case, 6 videos with Alan. Those will be good. And those will be coming out mixed up. It'll just be sort of mixed up with Scam Nation stuff.
Sure.
But yeah, those are Scam Nation shoots. One last thing, we had a video come out on Scam Nation that I think was really fun. I shot this just alone with Brian. You were.
I was there.
You were there. Yeah, John. Yeah. Sorry, apologies, John.
It's okay.
John was also there.
We used my punching bag to keep him upside down.
Oh, was that yours?
Yeah.
So upside down fire eating is what it was. So someone posted on the Modern Rogue Reddit, I think on a response to one of the fire eating videos, and was like, hey, I have a thing with my neck, and so I can't look up, which is a big thing with fire eating because heat rises and you want it to kind of expel. And they're like, are there any tricks you can do without moving your neck up? And Brian sort of translated that into like, well, could you eat fire laying on your back or upside down? Because then if you wanted the fire to go up, you would tilt your head down. I think is kind of we don't get into the astrophysics of how that actually works in the video, but I think that's the thinking on it. It was very interesting to shoot. You know, the video itself was less than 4 minutes. We shot it in, I mean, between, you know, taking a break for heat, because we shot in the steel building, we shot it very quickly too. But it was interesting, and I really liked doing it. And I like that format of like, here's a question, let me go test it. And as far as like the format for Scam Nation, it was kind of a different thing, right? We like started with a walk and talk, which we have not done even on Scam School for you know,
quite some time,
a while. Yeah. We also did this really interesting thing here when we transitioned from the walk and talk into the steel building, where like
I like that,
where just the title comes in, and then the background of the title comes in, and then it transitions out. Like, I think I even use that in the next video. And so I really liked it because it was kind of a different format of a video, even though it was basically just a mailbag. It was like, and it is not functionally different than a mailbag episode or a Scam Nation video where someone sends in a thing.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's all voodoo, but I really thought this one would take off.
I kind of thought so too. I you know, right now it's sitting at 13,000 views, which is I think fire eating, I don't know, maybe we haven't figured out the right way to sell people on fire eating, because I don't think the fire eating stuff is particularly popping.
Right. Yeah, not on our side either.
That we consider fire to be like, it's fire, people love fire, because this is the local news. So I don't know if we just haven't cracked how to sell people on the idea, or it could just be that like we're not putting these things in the right places. You know, we've talked about this before, but like we focus on production because that's our main thing. We make content and then we put it out, but we don't have a lot of time dedicated to finding the best places to put this and actually get the word out beyond like making a tweet, you know, putting it on Discord, whatever. Like, that's still something that we need just manpower on, in terms of like doing the work to get it out there, you know. Because there's always talk like, oh, this could be a viral thing, you know, this can hit Reddit and be the front page of Reddit. Gets mentioned a lot for a company that hasn't done that in ever. But part of that is like, you have to do it. It's like someone kind of has to do the groundwork to make those accounts or get other people. Like there's, if we want to do it right, which is not just spamming our own stuff, then it takes a little bit of legwork to do it.
Yeah. Is there any member of our organization who does like split Facebook testing, Twitter testing, like that kind of stuff?
No.
Who like creates ad groups and demographics and
no.
Oh,
we don't run ads. We don't buy ads. No.
Oh.
John Tilton tested out some Instagram ad stuff a little bit before he left, but no, we don't do that.
Oh.
We make a tweet when we make a video. You know, that would be great. I'm not saying it's a bad idea.
No, it would answer a lot of debates that happen. It would quasi settle a lot of arguments, because you can specifically change up things and split test multiple variables simultaneously.
Sure, but those are on platforms where we're already weak on.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. It's to me, it's the sort of it's the Twitter poll thing, right? Like, if you're using a Twitter poll to get it to come to an idea, and you have like a joke option there, like, you might as well have not done the poll, because it's and that's a very weird that's multiple issues at once. But those are already audiences that we're trying to cultivate on those social media channels, and we don't have, there's no ad budget, is I guess what I'm saying. So like OpenBuy asks, how much traffic comes from social media versus organic? I mean, to my understanding, it's still not a lot from social media. I know YouTube does aggregate that data, but it's never been a big driver for us.
Right.
And especially not now. Like nobody's going to click on a YouTube link in Facebook because Facebook will never show a YouTube link.
Sure. Well, we don't use Facebook anyway.
Yeah. But I'm saying for those who do and they're like, oh, check out this cool Modern Rogue video, none of their friends are going to see that.
Yeah, I mean that's a bigger discussion out of the scope of this, but yes, right. Like YouTube wants to promote within YouTube, the other sites don't want to promote people out. But in any case, social media is still somewhere weak, and I think it's weak for us. And I think if we had more time or resources to dedicate to the community to get other people to be the things that we need them to do in terms of, posting video. I mean, it felt like for a week there was a real strong, like, we're going to tell people to post on Reddit and you're going to get free karma and all that stuff. But that washes away when we have all of the rest of the system of publishing and creating videos. Mm-hmm. Where if we had someone who's like, okay, I've got a video here, it's just been published, let me rally troops and like actually do the work. Because sometimes Brian says stuff like that, and it usually just means I'm gonna make a tweet and not mention mention the show account for this thing, so they're not gonna see that I did this, or weird stuff like that. It's not about making a tweet, it's about engaging with the community and showing. I know it's so weird. It's a weird thing right now.
Yeah.
But I back on the fire eating upside down video. I really liked it. I really liked the way it came out. I was a little hesitant about it. It was very sort of rough and tumble shoot, or it was just kind of because he was mostly upside down. His head was upside down. It was very hard to be like, I need you to stay there and wait, because I did it myself before he got on there, and it's not pleasant. And maybe it's because it's just your back sort of bending down and not your whole body, but it was not something I could be like, okay, I need you to do that again, and I need you to wait here, and I can frame all this stuff up. But it ended up coming out well.
Yeah.
And so I would like us to do more purpose. This feels like a purpose-driven video. This was like, I have a thing. They've asked me this thing. I've got a thing that we can do, and here it is. Mm-hmm. And it's not in the box of the way that we've done anything before necessarily. And it's not making a box for a new way to do everything forever from now on.
Sure.
It is idea, video.
It's its own little thing.
Right. And a lot of, I swear we've talked about this in the show before, but a lot of what we do is like systematizing in formats. And this was like none of that. And it was great. Mm-hmm. But I need that content, right? Like, yeah, I need more content. And when it comes to Stam Nation content, especially if we're getting in a lot of guests, and the idea is to have more guests come out because of the HQ, they're going to present stuff like a Scam School video. And so that's Scam Nation stuff. All right, let's what have you guys been up to? Let's do a little bit of off-topic stuff. We got some time. John?
Yeah, I got something good, something bad. I watched both of the Amazing Jonathan documentaries.
Oh yes,
and they are both good and bad simultaneously. Like the one that was released on YouTube for free for everybody,
called Always Amazing.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Always Amazing. It is well done. It is heartfelt, but it is also saccharine and very much a lifetime, flattering depiction of the subject sort of thing. It's
and I would say well done is relative to the form.
Wasn't
format.
Bad.
You know what? For a 90-minute YouTube video, it was fine.
Generic biopic that you would see on A&E, I guess I'm thinking of. Like not bad, a little saccharine, a little like I don't quite believe all that, but
Sure.
whatever. And then the next documentary, which did it get a title yet?
The Amazing Jonathan documentary.
The
is what
Amazing
Hulu
Jonathan
was calling
documentary.
Original.
It was originally the Untitled Amazing Jonathan documentary, but then the logo that they have for it now is and then like a redacted mark, Amazing Jonathan documentary. And it's weird because when it was at Sundance, sorry, this is the last sentence on this. When it was at Sundance, it was the Untitled Amazing Jonathan documentary. And then Hulu picked it up, and now it's just the Amazing Jonathan. And it's very confusing because the point of it is that there are 4 Amazing Jonathan documentaries.
Yeah. And that was good insofar as it was surprising, and there was a few moments where you're like, "Oh snap! I can't believe there's yet another crew doing this," and oh my god, I can't believe this and that and the other.
You pretty much see him do meth.
Yeah, you pretty much see him do meth. And then there's the flip side, which is, okay, this isn't nearly as surprising as you, the filmmaker, think it is, even though you're in your 20s. But you're coming off like an 18-year-old who just got a camera, because like at one point he gets offered to do meth, and then Jonathan will allow him to film. And it's this huge conundrum that he literally gets advice from celebrities of how to deal with this conundrum. And it's just an off the hand offer from Amazing John. It's like, if you hit it with me, then we can film it and whatever. And this kid who is like very much into the drama, like imagine a 20-something who grew up watching Bowling for Columbine and Super Size Me and didn't see all the homework that went into those films, because they're well done, but they are very gonzo, self-indulgent, egomaniacal pieces that are faux documentaries.
Okay.
And it's somebody who grew up like watching those and who was like, I don't want to do as much homework though. Can we just pad this out with a segment of me being melodramatic about whether or not I'm going to hit the rock? And so there was a lot of like just lazy half-ass gonzo, stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the whole narrative of the second half of the Hulu documentary is, well, I don't know if I can do a documentary, and what do I do about making my documentary? And so there's a lot going out now about about the way that documentary is portraying reality, but also you look at it and I wouldn't call it a documentary.
No, it is a faux basic replica of like late 90s documentaries.
Or no, I mean it's a very low stakes true crime story in terms of like, something just happened to me. I want to get to the bottom of it. I'm going to do some chintzy espionage shit. I'm going to confront, and then we're going to resolve it. Yeah.
But let's not put too much effort into it.
Well,
let's not work too hard.
Well, but also the things that I've heard is that a lot of that stuff is, I mean, when you shoot anything, as like we've done for Scam School and Modern Rogue for many years, you produce stuff to get it to look the way you need it to be, so you can tell the story, even if it's not exactly the reality. But some of the accusations from the guy who made the YouTube documentary specifically are that that's not how reality was. That's not, like, that is cut up in such a way to make this look completely fake, and any number of like questionable things. Kind of, well, I don't know about that, but it's enough questionable things where you're like, well, I'm glad I don't think it's a documentary. Yeah. It is kind of about this thing that happens to this guy, and it maybe is a little long and overblown, but yeah, it's neat. It's gripping.
It's interesting.
Gripping,
yeah, both. I would recommend both documentaries if you're at all interested in the Amazing Jonathan.
Yeah. Brandt, anything up with you lately?
I got a Switch a while back, a Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
And then I sent
it. Got to do the.
Yep.
There you go.
There we go.
That's right.
And then I sent it back because I ordered it like a day before they announced the new model that has twice the battery life.
Yeah.
Good on you. Send it back.
Has the new one come in yet?
No, it should come in by Friday.
Cool. And how long had you had that Switch? Even like a week, 2 weeks?
29 days.
29.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah. And you were really getting into Mario Maker, right?
Yeah. Mario Maker 2. Yeah. It's pretty fun.
It's very good.
I was thinking about getting the Zelda as well, the Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild is really good.
Seems like it'd be cool.
Yeah. I know you do. I know you play games a little bit, and it's usually on PC.
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time you had a console or handheld, whatever? Like
when I lived with my dad, so 7+ years ago.
Okay, yeah.
7 and some change.
Wow.
We had an Xbox 360, and he had a Nintendo. He had a Wii.
A Wii, yeah.
But I never really played it much.
Mm-mm.
And that was kind of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Switch is really cool. I love mine.
Yeah.
I've been playing a lot of stuff on it. It's nice. Like I had the Wii U a few years back when it was cheap. I guess it's still pretty cheap. But I like it. I like the tablet, the gamepad tablet thing that you used for it. Especially when it was games where you could play the tablet and not need to watch it on the TV, where you could just play on the tablet. That was really great. And so that's what's really great about the Switch, is that now it is just built like that. And it's lighter and all this other stuff. But
right.
It's really interesting seeing how they turn kind of this huge failure of the Wii U and pluck out the good bit about it, and also that good bit like sounds insane, but then it's this really cool now sort of traditional idea, right? Like, oh, we're just going to make a tablet. Oh, but our tablet is going to transform, and it'll be the TV, but it'll also be the handheld, and you can snap the controllers in and out. Like all of this crazy shit you would just imagine, like as a kid, you were like, what? And I think that's cool. I think that's a really cool like balance that they found between like very proprietary fucking mini discs and motion controllers, and also just like PlayStations, which are just boxes with wireless controllers. I think it's a cool mix.
Yeah, I guess if you think, I remember back 10+ years ago, you would see like photos of people who would be like, okay, so I've got a PS1 and I've got this monitor that's like strapped to it.
That's right.
And then we got all these batteries and stuff hooked up to it, so that way I can play my PS1 on the go.
Yeah. And now it's like, I can do that on my Switch.
Right, yeah.
More or less. It's a cool thing.
I mean, there's still a lot of this is probably more a Mario Maker thing, where it's like Nintendo design that is simultaneously really exceptional and just
baffling.
Yeah, baffling is a great word for it.
Unbelievable.
Where you're just like, did you even play this game? Like, how do you miss like the one or two things that are just like huge quality of life issues? But it's fun enough.
I'm afraid of you getting Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
because
I'll just disappear.
You've talked about your experience with Skyrim and it being exactly that. And I think it's gonna be that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we'll
see.
It was the same thing when I got The Witcher 3.
Oh sure.
The Witcher 3. I was basically like, I'm gonna try to like not work for like 3 weeks. And so like there are probably a couple Modern Rogue episodes that are really phoned in. Because I was just like, literally every day I'm gonna play this for like 8 to 14 hours. So
yeah, I'm having that a little bit with Grand Theft Auto Online, especially because I'd already played a lot of it, and now I've been playing even more of it, and so I'm at a level where it's like your businesses will make money for you just as long as you have the game on. And so it leads to like, just when can I have the game on and making me money when I'm out working or whatever. It's weird. I don't know. It's a weird type of addiction. The numbers games.
It's like the video game equivalent of Bitcoin farming. We're just like, just gotta let this
For sure.
run
I'm definitely
for forever and
I'm
make that
definitely
money.
wasting a lot of energy. I'm waking up and finding out it crashed probably about an hour after I went to sleep. Yeah, it's no, yeah, that's right. And those they sell the cards, the shark cards, like you can pay money to get money in the game. They're expensive. They're fucking expensive for how much money they give you or that transaction gives you, but also based on like how quick it is to earn that amount of money in the game. Like I think they sell like $1 million for like $10, I want to say, but that's depending on how you spend your time doing it, like 5 hours of grinding, probably 4 or less. So it's like this weird thing of super overvalued real money transactions, but also the gameplay does seem like you can make decent money, but it's also overvalued. So it's super weird. It's super weird thing.
Gotta look for that best value.
Yeah. You know what? We do that.
Uh-huh.
What about you, S? Are you interested in Animal Crossing? Did you ever play any of the Animal Crossing games?
No.
Either of you?
No.
It seems all right.
Yeah. So they got the new one. I don't even know what it's going to be called, but it looks good. They showed a little bit of it at E3, and I really liked what was New Leaf, the 3DS one. New Leaf is very good. I liked the DS one, and so it will be interesting to see what the new one looks like, because it's supposed to be kind of a departure, but also quality of life. Like they made the Pocket Camp the mobile game. And so there's quality of life stuff in that, to the point where you're like, well, if you just put this in a new real game, you're cooking with fire. So
yeah, I mean the last Nintendo game that I played before this would have been like Tony Hawk Pro Skater on the Game Boy Advance.
Okay,
An
all right Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Yeah,
an all right.
It was fine.
Yeah.
And I had like 5 games for that, and then before that it was Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And that's like pretty much my entire Nintendo history right there.
Especially getting the Switch has made me realize I really like Nintendo stuff. Normally I feel like I've been at arm's reach with it because I was never like into like the GameCube or anything, but I had a Wii and a Wii U, and I got a Switch. And I like the Mario game on Switch and the Zelda game on Switch. I think I like Nintendo stuff. But I don't know. I'm a Sony person. Day in, day out, I think.
It always felt like to me, there was always like, how with kids, there was like kind of a split between like Nickelodeon and Disney or whatever.
Yeah. Or Nick and Cartoon Network later.
Yeah. Nintendo kind of felt like there was that paradigm where it was like, well, either you've had every Nintendo console that's ever existed and you've played all of the games and you're Super Nintendo, or like
you had anything else.
Yeah, or anything else, basically.
Yeah.
Because I knew a number of people like that who were just like, oh, if I ever wanted to play a GameCube, I know the people to go to. But I just never got sucked into that whole ecosystem.
Yeah. All right. Anything else before we log off, guys?
Some mild anxiety this month for the first time ever. I think whatever you and Brandt have, I'm catching.
We rubbed off on you.
Him.
Yeah, this is the first time since I moved out here where I'm feeling like, this situation might not be as exactly what I pictured.
Yeah.
Because I remember like you guys complaining. I'm like, that's just
complaining is a strong word for that, but okay.
That's just.
I would say it's not strong enough.
Like the situation's totally going to change from what you guys know, and then I realized, wait, no, that situation is coming with us to HQ, and now I'm feeling I'm acclimating.
Okay,
I'm acclimating.
Hopefully, my good feelings about the studio will get you next month.
We'll see.
Speaking of next month, this show is called the Bizarre Briefing. We do it every month here. BizarreBriefing.com is where you can get past episodes. You can also go to youtube.com/scamstuff and watch the video version of this. We record this show every month near the end of the month, beginning of the month,
keeping it with the month theme.
To all, a month. Here on twitch.tv/nightattack. Let's do plugs, John.
They're real.
Nice.
Shit! Skeptically Pwned.
Yeah, check me out. Skeptically Pwned something or other.
Okay.
I was prepped to take the mantle, but now I don't have to.
Yeah,
For
Brandt.
free.
Your plugs?
Gatowag, GATOWAG on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram.
That's right.
And Modern Rogue Show on Twitter and Modern Rogue Show on Instagram.
There we go. You can find me on Twitter at Brycas, BRYCAS. Check out my podcast. My podcast just went into season hiatus. Just had a season finale a few weeks ago for Trending Lemon, trendinglemon.com.
There's never been a better time to check it out.
That's right. 36 or 7 really, really, really good episodes. Please check it out, trendinglemon.com. You can also find me at the Scam Nation Show account on Twitter and on Instagram. And until next time, have a good month, everybody. Bye.
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 Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.